5:30. I'm calling the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Tate,
Present.
Councilmember Reyes, Councilmember Stokes, Vice Mayor Grillo,
Present.
Mayor Flores.
Present. Thank you very much. We will now move into oral communications. This is the opportunity to address the City Council on any matter scheduled for closed session. Unless additional time is authorized by the council, all commentary shall be limited to 3 minutes. No, in the audience, do we have any virtual?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. We will now move into the City Council closed session items.
Thank you, Your Honor. There are 9 items before the council this evening in closed session. The first, pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6, Council Regular Negotiator Agency Negotiator John Lawless and Patrice Hilda, Employee Organization, Porterville Peace Officer Association, Public Safety Support Unit, Porterville City Employees Association, Porterville City Firefighters Association, Fire Officer Series, and all unrepresented management employees. Item 2, Government Code Section 54956.8, Council Real Property Negotiators Property, APN 248-043-018, and the same for 016, 015, and 014. Agency Negotiator John Lawless, negotiating party City of Porterville, and Invia Investments LLC under negotiated terms and price. Third, Government Code Section 54956.8, Council Real Property Negotiators Property, APN 248-044-002, 248-034-024, 248-021-025, 248-021-026, 248-021-027. Agency Negotiator John Lawless, negotiating party City of Porterville, and James Gregory Shelton under negotiation terms and price. Item 4, Government Code Section 54956.8, Council of Porterville Negotiators Property, APN 253-050-081 and 253-050-090. Agency Negotiator John Lawless, negotiating parties City of Porterville, and James Gregory Shelton under negotiating terms and price. Item 5, Government Code Section 54956.8, Council of Real Property Negotiators Property, APN 253-160-064, 065, 068, 069, 070, 261-125-018, and 261-125-020. Agency Negotiator John Lawless, negotiating party City of Porterville, and James Gregory Shelton under negotiation terms and price. Item 6, Government Code Section 54956.8, Council Real Property Negotiators Property, APN 261-130-004. Agency Negotiator John Lawless, negotiating party City of Porterville, and Cornerstone Main Partners 2 LP under negotiation terms and price. Item 7, Government Code Section 54956.95, liability claim claimant Salvador Garcia, agency claim to get City of Porterville. Item 8, Government Code Section 54956.9, subsection B, subsection 3, legal counsel anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation, 9 cases in which facts are not yet known to potential plaintiff. And item 9, Government Code Section 54956.9, subsection D, subsection 4, counsel anticipated litigation, initiation of litigation when case. Staff.
Thank you very much for that. It is 5:33. We will go into closed session.
Mayor, there's just one item to report on, item A7, the claim by Salvador Garcia, and a motion by Councilmember Stowe, seconded by Councilmember Tate, and a 4-0 vote that claim was denied.
Thank you very much. We will now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilmember Tate, and please remain standing for the invocation. Is there anyone that would like to come forward and do the invocation? Thank you.
Father, we thank you for tonight. We thank you for this opportunity and the freedom. You said where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's freedom. I pray that would be the case in this room. I pray that conversations, Lord, situations would be handled by you, that you would be the orchestrator of this night. Holy Spirit, we give you praise. In you we live and breathe and have our being. Lord, remind us once again that you are in charge and you're running the universe. So we thank you for that. I pray over our city council members, our mayor tonight, all of our first responders. We thank you for them and them so faithfully putting their lives on the line to keep our city safe. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward? No, thank you. Please be seated. We will now move into the presentations.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have the privilege to recognize the retirement of two of our officers, canine officers, Jace and Jasper. And with that, I'd like to invite Chief Costello to make the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Lawless and Mayor, members of council. Tonight, I have two special police officer retirements. These retirements are two of our long-standing police canines, Canine Jace and Canine Jasper. I'm going to start with Canine Jace and Detective Daryl Locke. Detective Daryl Locke was assigned to Canine Jace while employed with the Farmersville Police Department, and Detective Locke and Canine Jace successfully completed 240 hours of canine school and were also certified in narcotics detection along with the patrol duties. Detective Locke and Canine Jace served the community of Farmersville until 2018 when Detective Locke and Canine Jace began their careers with the Porterville Police Department. Canine Jace faithfully served the city of Porterville until April 22nd after 7 years of service to the city. Canine Jace is credited with the recovery of multiple pounds of dangerous illegal narcotics, including methamphetamine, heroin, cocaine. He's also credited with locating several criminals hiding where it would have been unsafe for police officers to enter. One of Canine Jace's most notable performances is when he tracked two wanted felony suspects for over 2 miles and located them hiding underneath a tree where it would have been unsafe for officers to enter. Thank you, Canine Jace, for your service, and Detective Locke for your continued service. Now Detective Anthony Holt and Canine Jasper. Canine Jasper was purchased by the Porterville Police Department in January of 2016. Canine Jasper successfully completed a 240-hour canine school and was certified in narcotics detection along with his patrol duties. Canine Jasper served the community of Porterville for almost 7 faithful years, and his handler, Detective Anthony Holt, becoming his latest handler. He actually had 2 other handlers prior to Detective Holt. Canine Jasper is credited with locating large quantities of methamphetamine, cocaine, and heroin during many searches and getting these drugs off our streets. Canine Jasper is also credited with locating and apprehending several dangerous subjects. He's also credited with locating and missing lawful persons also. One notable incident Canine Jasper had in his career was when a suspect rammed an officer's vehicle. After a short foot pursuit, the suspect surrendered to Canine Jasper and was safely arrested without putting any officers in further danger. He had another incident that I'd like to talk about that didn't go so well. During another apprehension of a violent suspect, Canine Jasper was actually run over by a suspect vehicle during his deployment. that would have been unsafe for other officers to go after. This results in serious injuries to K-9 Jasper. K-9 Jasper displayed bravery, courage, and determination while recovering from these injuries and continued to serve the city of Porterville for many more years after his recovery. K-9 Jace and Jasper were tasked with not only protecting their hammers, but protecting all police officers of the Porterville Police Department as well as the citizens of Porterville. It is without a doubt that these two K-9s saved lives. K-9 Jace, K-9 Jasper performed these duties faithfully with excellence, and we would like to thank them for their service. With that, we would like to give a small token of our appreciation. We also got them.
Oh. Thank you very much. The work does not go unnoticed. It is appreciated.
No dog biscuits?
Oh, there it is. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Good job. They're like, okay. That's wonderful.
Like John was way over.
I know it. Oh.
City manager, I can get over that. Remember Donnie's experience.
Oh, I saw that. He moved out of the way. Okay. We will now go into the employee of the month and vice mayor.
Yes. So I have the honor of introducing the Community Development Employee of the Month, May 2022. Officer Jasmine Scott. Officer Jasmine Scott started with the Porterville Police Department in November of 2020. Officer Scott has been assigned to Patrol Division, where her supervisors and coworkers quickly came to recognize her as a team player who consistently offered her assistance to fellow officers. Officer Scott would often respond to fellow officers' calls to offer her assistance, whether completing necessary forms or to help with another portion of investigation. Officer Scott is eager to learn and often asks pertinent questions for the sake of improving her knowledge and applying it in the field. Officer Scott is always professional when speaking with victims, witnesses, and suspects. Her calm attitude and professional demeanor make her approachable and someone with whom people feel comfortable speaking. In August 2021, Officer Scott and members of her patrol team received an Exceptional Performance Award for their role in investigating a crime spree by suspects who committed a carjacking, discharged a firearm at a house, and fled from the scene of a traffic collision within a short span of time in different areas of the city. Officer Scott was a part of the patrol team that conducted the initial investigation, and during subsequent efforts by patrol officers and detectives, all suspects were apprehended. In October 2021, Officer Scott was assigned as a school resource officer, and she has continued to excel in that role. The following are examples of Officer Scott's work. Scott's courtesy, professionalism, and thoroughness during the investigation. Officer Scott was described as kind and respectful to all parties who were involved, but also firm with the juveniles. In January 2022, Officer Scott received an Exceptional Performance Award for her involvement in an investigation of a student who had brought a gun onto campus of a local high school. Officer Scott was off duty when she received information regarding a circulating social media post that depicted a male holding a firearm in what appeared to be a school classroom. Even though she was off duty, Officer Scott began contacting school staff and was able to determine that the incident occurred in a classroom at a local high school. Officer Scott relayed the information to on-duty patrol officers who recognized the severity of the situation and immediately began to investigate. Officers were able to locate and arrest the juvenile who was responsible, as well as seize the gun itself. Officer Scott was an instrumental part of the team, which was able to identify the juvenile who brought the gun to school and prevent what could have been an imminent threat to safety of staff and students had the juvenile brought the gun onto the campus again. Although Officer Scott is a newer officer, she has taken initiative with every assignment and has exhibited dedication in her performance as a police officer. Officer Scott's efforts and professional demeanor reflect positively on the Porterville Police Department. For these reasons, we are very proud to congratulate her as our City Employee of the Month. Congratulations. Good work.
Congratulations. Would you like to say a few words?
You can't get away.
You can't get away from us.
You can't get away.
It's not really my specialty.
Thank you very much. We will now go into oral communications. This is the opportunity to address the council on any matter of interest, whether on the agenda or not. Please address all items not scheduled for public hearing at this time. Unless additional time is authorized by the council, all commentary shall be limited to 3 minutes. If you are here for the public hearing, item number 22, please hold your comment until then. You will be given the opportunity at that time when the item comes forth. Is there anyone that would like to come forth?
Hi, my name is David Horowitz. I just want to thank Ms. Tate, whatever, Councilmember Tate, for her comments about the fact that you can't eat diamonds. I'm sure there are some people out there that may have tried. You're correct, you can't eat diamonds. You also can't eat guns. You also can't eat uniforms. You also can't eat haircuts, fingernail polish. All those people receive money. Also, Chingones would like me to let you know that you can eat his tacos. However, he did not receive a dime. The man took money to your hospital to feed your nurses. The point that we were trying to make was how unfair the distribution of the money was. And if food was a necessity, yes, I can understand that. So if you wanted to be fair about it, key word there, fair, why didn't you go to the smaller markets such as Cortez and White's and little markets like that the money would have been very beneficial to instead of the two biggest markets in town that actually prospered from the pandemic. So you've proved our point that the mentality of a 7th grader is not what we need up there on the council. We need somebody who's going to be a leader and take control and do the right things for the community, not make comments like, you can't eat diamonds. We already knew that, but thank you for pointing that out and proving our point. In the future, let's try and be more fair when we do things. That was my point. $5,000, if you gave it to me at my jewelry store, wouldn't have made a difference. So by not giving it to me, no, you did not hurt me one bit, okay? So I'm good. The money wasn't the issue. The issue was the fairness. The distribution was totally unfair, something you totally missed. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there someone else that would like to come forward?
Fernando, I have some things for the council. Brock Neely, address on record.
Oh, thank you.
Last meeting, I heard the comment that Mr. Neely must have an agenda, so I figured each of you should have your own personal copy. I do have one for Mr. Meister also when I'm through. The founding fathers of this great republic granted us the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They only granted us one freedom. That freedom is that of speech. The First Amendment is the only place the word freedom is mentioned in the founding documents. All persons here in the United States of America are subject to the laws, codes, regulations, and policies of the federal, state, county, and city government. A person's freedom is subject to revocation anytime a person is charged and convicted of a crime for which there is a jail or prison sentence. And I'll read the First Amendment for you. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech of the person or of the press, or the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. So all this talk of freedom is a bunch of hooey.
Thank you very much. Is there someone else that would like to come forth? Please do so.
I wanted to thank the council for letting us have our Freedom Rally at Centennial Park. It wasn't very well attended because of the rodeo in Clovis and everything that was going on, but we had a great time. We did have someone call the police on us, and we had to take a sign down, and we had little American flags sticking in the ground, and we had to take those out. Other than that, it went fine. There was a person standing over on the steps of City Hall filming us and taking pictures, and I don't know if that's who called the police or not, but it was pretty sad. But anyway, it was a great day, and we had good speakers and different people running for office. Anybody had the chance to speak that wanted to. We didn't prohibit anybody. It was an open mic to whoever was running, had ideas about freedom, or were running for different offices in Tulare County or the state. So it turned out well. And anyway, I just had one question on, it's on the consent calendar. It's number 20, reaffirm conditions of State Assembly Bill 361 to continue remote attendance at public meetings. I think COVID's over. I think that if somebody's elected to an office or they're hired to do a job and they're supposed to show up for meetings, they should show up in person and not depend on remote access to them. And now's the time for everybody to come back to the meetings and show up for their jobs, and masks are off and COVID's under control, so I don't think there's any more need for remote attendance to any meetings. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please.
Greg Meister, 1160 Eugene Avenue. I find it funny to hear someone quote the First Amendment when he was the man that signaled the mayor, the sitting mayor at the time, to stop me when I was talking about therapeutics for COVID-19. And he sat right behind me and signaled and violated my First Amendment right. Councilmember Stowe, last council meeting, I was watching you, and I could see that you were in pain, and I could see you just grinding and the grit. That kind of leadership is exactly what we need in this city. You don't punch down at constituents. You don't try to belittle people. You lead by example, and I thank you and I respect you for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Gail Knuckles, 13144 Road 216. I'm here about the animal shelter again. We all know we know it. need it here in Porterville, but to me, this is a common sense issue. 185 D Street is not the appropriate place for an animal shelter. I called the Tulare County Health Department. They gave me to the environmental section, and they said that the restaurant there on the corner, animals need to be 250 feet, 250 yards away from the restaurant. And we walked it, and the city lucked out, it's 300. But anyway, the issue is, this is not appropriate place to have this animal shelter. I have some pictures here. I don't know, this property belongs to the city, or if you people even know where it is out at the county, out at your city yard. It's an open piece of property. It looks like it's about 5 acres. It's behind Target. The money that you have, the 7.5 million, you could go out and build a new shelter, which would probably cost less money. It's in a really great place. There's no homes around there, and no businesses, and it'd be easy for the citizens to take their animals to. And there's also, I think, enough property out there where you could do your dog park, which would join into the Veterans Park, where people take their dogs anyway, and it would make it very convenient for everybody that would be using it. I don't know how much you have planned for the remodel of the 185 D Street building. It's been sitting there a long time. And when are the city going to show the citizens of Porterville the plans that you have for that building and exactly how it's going to work? How they're going to bring the animals in? What are you going to do with all the waste and the barking? Because there's going to be barking. I have canvassed the town. I took these around. No one in this town knows what that building's for. You guys need to be a little more transparent on what you're doing here for the citizens of Porterville, because we have to all live here. To me, what this is going to happen, if you guys go ahead with this, it's just going to be like the Lombardi School. That superintendent wanted that school there. He put the school there, and now guess what? You people have to deal with the mess. And that's the same way it's going to be with that animal shelter. You're going to spend that money in the wrong place, and then you're going to, the people, because you guys aren't always going to be sitting there. There's going to be other people there, and they're going to have to clean up the mess that you left. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was by Target. This property is by Target, correct? Thank you. By Target. Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward? Thank you very much.
Hi, good evening. Wanted to, Brian Redford, 56 South Corona Drive. Wanted to come back here and let you know I did some homework. I want to be participating, I want to learn a little bit, want to be productive here. And it was really, really cool. There was actually a community member that reached out and helped educate me a little bit on the process. And after seeing me up here kind of fumble around, realize that, you know, there's other people that want to contribute too, but maybe they're doing it remotely, or maybe they don't really have the wherewithal to get up here and at the pulpit. So I had a bit of a scare moment. Last meeting, Councilmember Stowe brought up the park impact fee. And I got worried. I have 3 kids, and I thought, I'm impacting these parks a lot. I better be paying a fee. That was wrong, but again, I know what park impact fees are now, so that's great, and I do want to express appreciation for taking that off the consent calendar, because the more I learned about it, the more I learned we're kind of behind other towns compared to us. Now, it's not a competition, right? But we kind of want to be that town in the Central Valley, right? We want to be up and coming. We want people to want to come here to our city. There's a lot of stuff here that's great. I'm learning that there is a really, really low fee for these developers to participate in the growth of our town. $887 for the single-family residents. It's not very much compared to some of the other towns around here. I mean, I'm not asking us to be in the same vein as Selma, who's charging $5,000, but maybe we meet somewhere in the middle. Also learned that we're not doing anything for the police impact fee or the fire impact fee, and I think that those departments should be supported, and that the bill shouldn't fall on our residents. So what it comes down to is that these developers, they're doing great things for us. A lot of affordable housing, which is great. I come from the Bay Area originally. That's unreasonable. The dream is here to be able to own a home, and a lot of these developers are making that happen. But I don't think it's too much to ask them to pitch in a little bit more and not asking the lady down at the carniceria down the street for me to pay a little bit extra. The measures that we passed, that we voted on, they're supporting our city, which is great. We need to continue to do that, but maybe those that are helping build our city as well, those developers should pay their fair share. So just take a look at it. I know it's on the agenda. I know that you guys are going to take a look at it, but there are a lot of people aware of it, and I know that we can do better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward? Do we have anyone on virtually?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please let that person in. Have them state their name and address for the record.
Hello. Hi, I'm Kathy Gwynn, and my address is 381 Mendel Street here in Porterville. I'm also the chair for the Porterville Animal Control Commission. I know there are some concerns about where the animal shelter is proposed, where the proposed location is. It may not be the most ideal right now, and you know, I could see that happening. But as far as announcements and proposed plans, those kind of things, there maybe should have been a bit more going on as far as announcements and paper and the newspaper, other ways of announcing stuff. Because right now I tried to watch the streaming YouTube. You could barely hear anybody at all. And so it makes it kind of difficult to try to take part. And I know someone else had a comment also about let's start doing in-person meetings. I'm all for that. Let's do it. But as far as the Animal Control Commission, right now we need a place. I mean, the shelter, we do need a place. We need a place now. We needed a place 6, 7 years ago. And hopefully we're in the next step toward getting one finally. And we're 3 cities away, and we need to get back in our town that people can even walk to, so that people can take their dogs there or their cats there. If they can adopt out, do volunteer stuff. That it needs to happen within the city limits and for the citizens of people within the city limits, because it's been way too long in another city, and it's time to happen. I mean, I don't know if we are going to have any time to look at any other place at this point, but something has to give, and I think we really need a shelter now. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have anyone else virtually that would like to participate? Please let that person in.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Have them state their name and address for the record.
Yeah, Sean Schwarzenberger, 752 West Thurman Avenue, Porterville. Calling in on the animal control deal, I just want to give my appreciation on the fact that council is finally moving forward on something that we started back in 15, 16 when I was on Animal Control Commission. And I kind of ditto what Kathy just said, that it may or may not be the right location, but again, I mean, this time crunch, we would get a lot more participation and be able to take care of the animals, which in turn would help take care of all of the wandering animals in the city, having it a lot more closer than basically going to Exeter. You know, I agree with all that. I would like to see a little bit more as far as plans and stuff go. Most of us seems like we heard this through the grapevine rather than on any big announcement that, you know, everything was finally starting to go through, that we've tried to, you know, do quite a bit now over the last 6, 7 years. On a closing note, I'd like to ask council if they could find out. I have turned in paperwork twice now, once online and once in person at the police department, which is where I was told to take it, to be appointed to the Animal Control Commission again now that I'm back in the city limits, and no one has heard anything about it yet. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Do we have anyone else that would like to come on virtually?
No, Your Honor.
See that there are none. We will now move into the AB 1234 reports. This is a time for all AB 1234 reports pursuant to Government Code 53232.3. The first one is Tulare County Association of Governments, the TCAG meeting. We met on the 18th of April. It was an in-person and a virtual Zoom meeting. Prior to the meeting, there was a workshop. That was from 11:30 to 1. It included budget presentation, Tulare County Regional Transit, Microtransit, legislative report, and the director's report. Under the transportation consent calendar, action items were to reaffirm the conditions of State of Assembly 361 to continue remote attendance at public meetings, adoption of one resolution. Items of information was implementation status of federally funded projects and Senate Bill 1, competitive program update. Under the transportation action discussion items, there were 2 action items: the adoption of the resolution to confirm congestion mitigation and air quality projects, and to approve the surface transportation block grant program projects. The rest of the items were informational under the portions of this agenda. There's nothing to report for Caltrans in this area for the update. The association consent calendar were the approval of the March 21st TCAG board meeting minutes and the minutes of the March 17th Technical Advisory Committee meeting. Association action discussion items. There were 2 adoption of resolutions to approve compensation recommendations for a TCAG position for submittal to the County Board of Supervisors for the approval and implementation, and then to approve the fiscal year 2022-23 overall work plan for TCAG. Though the rest of the meeting was information, one item in particular under the legislative update that was given, Mr. Smalley reported with regard to the 99 effort. Senator Hurtado left the effort to get the Valley Assembly and Senate representatives to all sign a letter of support regarding the funding to close the gaps in State Route 99. That concludes the report. The next meeting is Monday, May the 16th. The next report is the Tulare County Homeless Task Force. We met on April the 20th. In attendance virtually from the city of Porterville were Claudia Calderon and me. All other members of the task force who attended the meeting were on also virtually. Others from the city participated in the live streaming. No public comments were made. The first order of business was to adopt the resolution to allow the task force on homelessness to continue to hold meetings virtually and remotely. Minutes of the March 16th were approved. Shannon Tolbert was introduced at this meeting. She is the HHSDA Deputy Director of Integrated Services. Noah Whitaker provided updates on Project Home Key, Room Key, including an update on the vaccination efforts among residents without housing. Joyce Glaspie of Visalia Unified School District gave a presentation with regard to the vaccination efforts with the Visalia Adult School student nurses. She expressed gratitude in having been invited to participate. Noah Whitaker provided an update on the homeless multidisciplinary team. The efforts, the projects were shared, where funding was allocated, highlighting the partnerships and where the next steps are. The next presentation was to discuss the creation of a homeless action plan as required by the HHAP 3.0 funding application. It's a focus for youth set-aside, health and safety code section, which requires that a program recipient use at least 10% of its allocation for services for the homeless youth population. Local homeless action plans details a planned approach to providing continuum of homelessness services, strengthening local systems capacity, emergency and temporary shelter, permanent shelter. The eligible use of funds were outlined, the structure and the goals. In this conversation, Chris Kurtz from the housing manager of Anthem Blue Cross Shared Housing and Homelessness Incentive Program, the HHIP, and the alignment with HHAP. The overview consisted of the portions of DHS home and community-based spending plan, ARPA funds, incentive, Medi-Cal managed care plans, in building partnerships, the integration with homeless system, and addressing homelessness. The program priority areas were partnerships and capacity to support referrals for services. Shared was that Anthem Blue Cross and Health Net both submitted letters of intent to participate in Tulare County. More information and updates will follow. The task force received a slideshow presentation from Beth Wilshire of Tulare County Office of Education about the Dream Center. They offer educational case management, resources for school districts, community service, workshop transitional age youth supports. The focus is on foster youth, the homeless youth education services. On the average, a foster youth has approximately 8 changes of home placement. Homeless children are 9 times more likely to repeat a grade for programs, 4 times more likely to drop out of school. A brief highlight was on special education programs. An emphasis again was on the foster youth and the homeless youth rights, the right to school origin or AB 490 to matriculate with their peers in certain situations, graduate with reduced credits, and transportation to school. There are several partnerships. The center provides the washer and the dryer for them to wash clothes, the showers, the clothing closet, tutoring, assistance to high school completion, assistance to college career enrollment. If anyone is interested in more information to this regard, the Dream Center is located in Visalia at 1730 West Walnut, and this is under the Tulare County Office of Education. For the next meeting, a discussion of the task force bylaw revision and voting positions on the committee will be brought forth. Updates from the cities, there was nothing to report for Visalia or Tulare. Claudia Calderon from the city of Porterville was articulate in reporting for Porterville. For the Porterville Welcome Center, the unduplicated since the opening of the Welcome Center as of March 31st is 2,036. Daily individuals who access services has increased slightly to a daily average between 65 and 85, with some days seeing as many as 90 for meals and services. They continue to provide services on Wednesday and link events every other Wednesday, and continued participation from Health and Human Services, MDT, and other partners. They are now serving 15 emergency and 15 bridge and are full. There is a need for more hygiene kits. 2 people from the center were housed in March. The Link Committee continues to meet to support the efforts of the Porterville Welcome Center and Link events. The current focus is to bring medical services such as a mobile dental unit, street medicine to the Link events. There is also a need for an ASL interpreter. For the CDBG action plan and substantial amendment, the city held a public hearing to seek input in the development of the 2022-23 CDBG action plan and a substantial amendment to the 2021-22 action plan. Both were approved. All these presentations were informative. I encourage, if anybody has an interest, to go to the website and view the Facebook video under Tulare County Health and Human Services, Tulare County Task Force on Homelessness. That concludes this report. Our next meeting is May the 18th.
Mayor, I have a question.
Please.
For donations of or help with the hygiene kits and ASL interpreter, if there was interested community or organizations, do they reach out directly to the Welcome Center?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District Board. We don't have a report for that. Okay. The Tulare County Economic Development Corporation. Mr. Lawless, Mr. Ridenour, and I attended the meeting in person. It was held on April 27th. The minutes of March 23, 2022 were approved. The financials through March 31st were detailed and approved. The project and client services updates were provided. The EDC is now currently managing 43 active project files. Information is current fiscal through March 16, 2022, broken down Carryover from prior fiscal year is 20. New project this fiscal year to date is 28, less the closed and inactive projects this year, 5. There were 2 projects that were reported as most active. A large e-commerce facility was seeking 3 specific sites in Tulare County. The project requires 1 to 2 million square feet. The project brokers have requested a list of city, state, and Tulare County economic TCEDC incentives. TCEDC submitted incentive list and project proposal. It has been narrowed down to 2 sites. State, city, and the TCEDC representatives met with the broker and has since requested additional information applications for various incentives offered. This project would create up to 500 jobs for Tulare County. The TCEDC staff is actively pursuing the project. A warehouse developer sought TCEDC to assist with their interest in a 9.53 acre site in the city of Porterville. TCEDC facilitated a call with the owners of the property and party of interest. This developer may be interested in utilizing TCEDC BIS funds for this project and showed interest in additional sites in Tulare County. TCEDC is building a proposal of additional sites and will assist on any additional projects of interest. It is my understanding that Jason Ridenour of the city was involved in helping TCEDC with the information to this regard. Erica De Oliveira, the Vice President and COO, provided highlights under the TCEDC report. The TCEDC and foundation taxes have been filed. She attended Westpac in Anaheim and also attended the TCAC Town Hall, the CTC Town Hall. The TCEDC real estate forecast event is forthcoming. It is slated for June the 10th. Under the operations update and consensus for strategy planning date in May, during this item, there was an update that was provided with regarding to scheduling a strategic planning session. An electronic email was going to be sent to the full board for possible dates. This item led to the discussion from the public and the private sector who expressed their concerns, those of us who were on the board. The administrative committee had met. It was reported that cities had been contacted with regard to the fee, the membership, and that they had agreed to the dollar amount. Well, I know, being on the board, that we had not had that discussion, nor did that information come to us. The chair also reported that there will be an open seat on the administrative committee. It is an ad hoc. However, the dialogue and the discussion during this meeting led me to reread the Board of Director handbook. This will definitely become a discussion for us as a council. On a side note, we were sent an email with regard to possible dates for a strategic planning session. It was originally scheduled for this Friday. However, today I received an email for the special board of directors meeting, which was originally scheduled for Friday, May the 6th, has been canceled until a larger group of in-person participants, along with the public sector partners, are able to participate. The purpose of this meeting on the agenda was to discuss interim operations and strategic planning, board member bylaws and responsibilities. This concludes my report. Our next meeting is in May. So I just know that we're going to have another meeting, which is scheduled and is on the calendar. And that concludes my report. I am looking at the time. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 other reports, which are pretty much all mine. I'm going to hold those over till the end of the scheduled matters so that we can begin the business items. But the next item on here is the reports.
Thank you, Honor. This is the quarterly reports that you receive. Those are directed by council, so happy to answer any questions that may have been particular concern or further information.
Do council members have any questions from the staff reports? There are no questions on the staff reports by council. Okay, then we will move on with the consent calendar. All consent calendar items are considered routine and will be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these matters unless a request is made, in which event the item will be removed from the consent calendar. All items removed from the consent calendar for further discussion will be heard at the end of scheduled matters. Council, please look over at the consent calendar. Are there any items that need to be brought to attention?
There are, Your Honor. Item number 12 has been requested to be removed by Caltrans for further legal review in the agreement.
Thank you. Item number 12 will be removed at the request of Caltrans.
There's also an amendment to the recommendation on number 19 that I can just state for the record, and then you guys can, you can accept, or if you like, you can move to approve as amended. And that would be an amendment to an amended recommendation for approval to approve with a change to Exhibit A to the agreement that would require $5 million in commercial general liability coverage by the amusement ride vendor.
Item number 19 with the recommended amendment for the insurance liability to be $5 million? Thank you. Okay, so, okay. So on the consent calendar, items 1 through 11, then 13 through 21. How does council wish to proceed?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent items 1 through 11, and then 13 through 21, noting the recommended amendment to number 19.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor.
I'll second.
We have a second. No further discussion. Call for the vote. Oh, we can do this. Okay. It passes unanimous. Thank you very much. The next item is a public hearing. I am out by conflict on this item, and I'm going to defer to the vice mayor for this item. Okay. Okay.
You gotta have your key.
I need my card.
Okay, so I will turn it over to the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Your first opportunity at this. We have one public hearing that's been scheduled for this evening, which is the consideration of mitigated negative declaration for Union Avenue reconstruction project, and Mr. Reitner will provide the staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Lawless. Honorable Mayor Pro Tem and City Council, the City of Porterville proposes to reconstruct a portion of Union Avenue between Indiana Street and J Street, approximately 1/2 mile in length. The reconstruction would include the widening of Union Avenue to the standard width of 56-foot right-of-way, also improving Western Street to Orange Avenue to correct drainage issues, completing the connection of Chest Terrace to Union Avenue, and improving Cottage Street south of Union Avenue. The project activities include pavement, water, sewer, and storm drain installation, curb gutters, sidewalk and landscape parkways, street lights, and possible utility relocation. Some of these activities would involve property acquisition as necessary. The area of potential effect of the project is approximately 4.6 acres. On March 23, 2021, the environmental coordinator made a preliminary determination that mitigated negative declaration would be appropriate for the project. Mitigation measures were identified for biological resources, cultural resources, and tribal cultural resources. The initial study has been transmitted to the State Clearinghouse, as well as to interested agencies, groups, and individuals for review and comment. The review period ran for 30 days from March 25th through April 25th. At the time of this report, only one comment was received, and that was from the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District. The comment made a recommendation to utilize the cleanest available off-road construction equipment, including the latest tier equipment, to reduce the impacts from construction-related diesel exhaust emissions. The recommendation from the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District will be included in the construction bid documents. Staff's recommendation is that City Council adopt the draft resolution approving the mitigated negative declaration of environmental impact and direct staff to proceed with the Union Avenue reconstruction project. Staff is available for questions.
Okay, so here I'd like to ask first, do the council members have any questions before we proceed into the public hearing?
Maybe after.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay. All right, so then I'll go ahead and call the public hearing to order at 7:31. Is there anyone that would like to speak on the public hearing that we have before us in the audience? Okay. Anyone virtual or correspondence?
No, Your Honor.
Can I close the public hearing and then, okay. So we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. It's still 7:31. And then I will turn it over to council to see any questions or comments on the item.
Your Honor, I don't have any questions, but we've been working for this project for a long time to widen that street, and, excuse me, I'm sorry. Sometimes I forget I have this thing on, I wear it so much. We've been working on widening the street for such a long time, and I think it's been overdue, and I'm just glad it's happening now, so. I don't have any specific questions, because, I know most of the details on it, so.
Thank you. Councilmember Tate?
No, thank you.
And then my comments are that I reviewed the draft resolution with pretty much the same information that was provided in the staff report, but I feel very comfortable that we followed all the processes. The CEQA process reached out to any of agencies, including the tribal cultural resources, biological resources, to ensure that any mitigation was dealt with. We did receive that one comment, and that was from the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District, and the comment was just to utilize the cleanest available off-road construction equipment. So that will be taken into consideration. I think just this project is important. We have a plan, and we're abiding by all the laws that are in place and have made every effort to do this in a positive manner. So I feel good about the project. So do we call for?
Entertain a
Okay. So I will entertain a motion on this item. Council?
Two more. Okay, I can, but go ahead.
I motion that we approve this mitigation for this Union Avenue reconstruction as stated in the plans.
Just to clarify, the motion is to adopt the draft resolution approving the mitigated negative declaration of the environmental impact and direct staff to proceed with the Union Avenue reconstruction project.
Okay, to adopt the mitigated plan and the environmental reports that are associated with this project.
And I will second.
Okay, so we can go ahead and call for the vote now. And it passes unanimous?
It passes 3-0.
3-0.
Yeah, it does need to be recorded.
Thank you. So we can call the mayor back.
We will now move into scheduled matters.
Thank you, Your
Please.
Honor. There are three scheduled matters this evening. The first is consider Fallen Heroes Memorial Wall. This is an item that had been carried to this meeting at the request of Vice Mayor Carrillo. And with that, I'll ask Mr. Moore to provide the staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Lawless, Honorable Mayor, and members of the council. The Fallen Heroes Memorial Wall pays special tribute to local residents who have died in the line of duty during military or public safety service. The wall is located within Fallen Heroes Park and has been open since November 2014. There are currently 4 names on the wall: Corporal Brett W. Land, Private First Class Alejandro J. Pardo, Captain Ramon C. Figueroa, and Firefighter Patrick L. Jones. The Military Banner Program also honors military personnel killed in action. The information collected for that program has brought about the need to establish consistent regulations under which the city would add new honorees to the Fallen Heroes Memorial Wall. Over its past 3 meetings, the Military Banner Program Committee worked on developing a Fallen Heroes Memorial Wall policy. In order to qualify, the policy states, number 1, the honoree must be military personnel who died in active service, foreign or domestic, or a peace officer, firefighter, or emergency medical technician who died in the line of duty. Number 2, the honoree must have been killed in action during military or public safety service on or after September 11, 2001. And number 3, the honoree must have been a current or past resident within the Porterville area as defined by the boundaries of the Porterville Unified School District, which is also the boundaries that we use for the Military Banner Program. Staff will research to determine if there are any additional individuals that meet the policy specifications and coordinate with respective family members for recognition on the wall. The installation of plaques will coincide with the Memorial Day holiday on an as-needed basis. At its meeting on March 8, 2022, the Military Banner Program Committee voted unanimously to recommend to the City Council approval of the draft Fallen Heroes Memorial Wall policy. Staff's recommendation is that the City Council consider adoption of the draft Fallen Heroes Memorial Wall policy. That concludes staff's report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Does council have any questions?
I have a comment.
Please.
So I'm a part of the committee, and the Military Banner Committee, and we have reviewed this policy and talked about some different items. We've had some questions and things like that, but I think because the Fallen Heroes Memorial Wall is so significant and also sensitive, I just wanted to be able to, and we've put a lot of thought into this, and the other gentlemen that sit on the committee are veterans, a couple, so I really take their feedback to heart and their suggestions. But when we're working on something like a policy and this being so new, we could have missed something or there could have been a question. So I just wanted to have the council to have and the community, that it was on the agenda to provide any feedback and see if we missed anything.
Thank you. Does council have any questions? Did you look at it? I looked at it.
So did I, and I don't have any questions, but I appreciate the work. Sorry. I don't have any questions, but I do appreciate the work that the committee put in because, it was a lot of thought put into this.
Yes.
And I don't think there's, and I couldn't find anything that would add or delete. So thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Councilmember Tate, do you have any questions or any comment?
No, I just reviewed the policy on it, and it's pretty well spelled out, and directions on how you can go about nominating someone who you might think or that you might know of that we wouldn't know, so that you can apply for this honor for anyone that you know that may deserve this honor.
Thank you very much. So how does council wish to proceed? You can.
Sure. So I'd like to make the motion that we approve and consider approve the draft Fallen Heroes Memorial Wall policy.
We have a motion.
You want a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. No further discussion. Call for the vote, please. Passes unanimous with 4. Okay, we will now move into item number 24.
Thank you. And our next scheduled matter is to consider the 2022 K-Jug Free Summer Concert Series. As council will recall, last year, the city council gave direction to serve as the sponsor for the K-Jug Free Summer Concert Series, and directed staff to coordinate and to produce those events, which it did in conjunction with K-Jug. Momentum Broadcasting, who operates K-Jug, FM 106.7, has been in contact or was in contact with the chamber about this year's concert series, to which they declined due to staffing issues at the time, and so was approached by Momentum Broadcasting about the city again serving as the sponsor of for the series. Received what's called the one sheet, which is included in your back, which talks about what the financial commitments are, which is $6,750 to serve as the sponsor of the event, as well as the dates. And that's where it became a little tricky in that the 2 second dates are both coincide with city council staff, or regular city council meetings. And first looked with K-Jug, it looked at alternative dates, as there's concerts also planned in Visalia and Hanford. There wasn't really that flexibility, and to be candid, the acts are a little higher standing that are scheduled for Porterville, according to K-Jug. They're all have songs that are on the charts now, I guess you would say. So, and Porterville serves as one of their best audience in terms of attendees, as well as their reach of their station. So, a couple of options for the council should it decide to proceed again with this. The first concert would be on Thursday, May 28th, or excuse me, May 26th. Is how to address in June. That doesn't present an issue. It's the June dates that do present that. And so talked with them logistically how this would happen. The concert's usually about an hour, hour and a quarter. There's an opening act that doesn't necessarily have to perform. The contracts they have are with the primary talent. So looking at either having a recess mid-meeting, changing the meeting schedule. City attorney recommended and is presented here as an option, or perhaps adjourning to a meeting. And it's going to be difficult doing both a council meeting and producing the series. I'll just be candid for staff. So should the council wish to consider in this, I think it'd be staff's recommendation that the meetings of June, instead of being on the first and third Tuesdays, be adjourned to, and probably easiest for the city attorney as well, is on the Mondays, Monday the 6th and Monday the 20th. So, but happy to answer, really it's option should you wish to proceed to this, to try to avoid that conflict as well with those 2 concert dates. And I don't know who the talent is as of yet.
Thank you very much for that. I know that I am aware that the dates couldn't not be changed for the concerts, and bringing to the table the option to reschedule the June council meetings to a different date, from Tuesday to Monday, just for those 2 council meetings, because you can't change the concert. Because we tried that. I believe and we made the effort to reach out to see with the other cities that have the concerts, if we could switch their dates, but the answer to that was no, because they are scheduled for those cities, and it is because of the contracts and everything that they have. So the next thing was to make the questions, do we have the concert on a council meeting date and just have it? And
if I can just add to this as well, K-Jug is doing a free concert with the fair. Given the receptiveness in Porterville, they're doing a free, there's a performer that's performing, I think, on the Thursday night of fair, doing a free show. K-Jug it's just been shown to be that well received in the Porterville community. So, sorry to complicate, I meant to mention that earlier.
But that
kind of
is
demonstrates
good, because I know that it raised eyebrows. Okay, how are we going to have scheduled council meeting date on the same date that the concert is? And do we come in and have a council meeting and then carry the meeting over, which that would be easier as long as it's done appropriately and it's noticed appropriately for those two concerts, that we move our meetings to the Monday before of June the 6th and June the 20th. However, I'm going to open this up for council members for input. Councilmember Stowe, I'm looking at you right now.
No, okay. You know, if, if we approve this, I do believe that, you know, a Monday council meeting would be better. We can't compete with the noise and everything else that's across the street, so I think we'd be better off doing it on a Monday if we should approve this, this item.
Okay, Councilmember Tate? Vice Mayor?
I definitely agree with supporting this K-Jug Free Summer Concert, and I am in support of moving the city council meetings to the Mondays prior with the dates you provided of the 6th and the 20th. I feel like it wouldn't be, I would prefer to not have a meeting the same day as a large event.
Thank you with that.
I have no conflict on those dates. I can attend the meeting on Monday, and then that way I can go to the concert too.
Thank you for that. So there is recommendation on here, and we've just done that. Do you need any more from this, from what's here?
Well, we just need action to approve serving as a sponsor to that. We didn't want to bring the internal civic event, which would be the authorization of street closures and things of that nature, to your next meeting as we prepared before. So, but we just need the action to give the direction on how to deal with, to first of all, sponsor it, and funds are available in your community promotions budget. Secondly, to authorize the concert dates, and then accordingly work with the adjourned meeting schedule.
Thank you. Okay, do you have a motion? Do we have a motion on the floor for this?
I will make a motion to sponsor the 2022 K-Jug Free Summer Concert Series for the concert dates listed as May 26th, June 7th, June 21st, 2022. Authorize the expenditure of the $6,750 out of the Community Promotions Fund, and then consider scheduling on the Mondays before our scheduled council meetings, with those dates being June 6th and June 20th.
We have a motion on the floor.
I have a question, question, if I may.
I will second it for the question.
Okay, thank you. Do we know the revenue that's brought in from these concerts? Because I know it's only $6,000 for three. I would imagine it would probably triple or quadruple the amount.
Yeah,
Because we get a great crowd and people
Yeah,
from all
and
over.
they spend some time downtown and that sort of thing. We know that Don Vino's has seen some benefit from that, and they've done some special events in coordination with that. They would be doing their Taco Tuesdays as well, so probably we'll see some spillover activity between these two. So I think the concert times are 6:30 to 7:30 approximately, or 6:30 to 7:45. They were, if you had pursued an action of wanting to limit it to an hour, they could have. The main talent is 45 minutes. That's the contract, is 45 minutes of whoever the headliner is, and then they kind of balance that with however many songs the opener provides.
Plus, being that we're not going to have the Iris Festival, this would be a great promotion for our city, so I'm just curious on that. Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? We have a motion, we have a second, call for the vote. It passes unanimous, 4-0. Thank you so much. We will now move on to item number 25.
Thank you, Your Honor. Final scheduled matter this evening is to consider authorization to obtain a confidential issuer credit rating from S&P's Global Ratings. This concept is kind of goes by the nickname of a shadow rating. So typically when you enter into financing as a city council, for example, when we did a water bond last year, we went out for rating, and it basically assesses the fiscal resiliency and the ability of the agency to pay back the debt. So the last time the city, not the water fund or the sewer fund or any of the enterprises, the last time the city itself, general fund and such, was rated was in 2015, which the rating at that time was a AA. And Standard & Poor's did that, and that was part of a refinance of certificates of participation that were issued, I believe, initially in 1998 with a refinance. So the easiest path forward is for S&P to update that rating, given that they did the prior rating, but it was now 8 years ago. And in today's environment, ratings are about only good for 12 months. And so how this has come is cities in negotiations and looking at the construction of new facilities that may require additional financing for them, most notably the new library, that there may need to be a rating provided through those different financing options as those are being developed for the council's consideration. And so obtained a quote from S&P for $15,000, which would include what's also surveillance. So this by updating the rating for the city, and I'm going to cautiously hope it's better than it was in 2015 as we were coming out of the recession at that time, and kind of where the city's financial standing is today. I'm hopeful it's at least that, if not better. In the Central Valley, it's very difficult to attain a AAA rating because the Central Valley is generally considered very disadvantaged. So anything in the AA range, in fact, my conversations with the financiers have been, if the city has a AA rating or based on that rating from 15, very encouraged there's great confidence in the city's financial stability. So the recommendation would be to have S&P update the rating from 2015. There's a cost of issuance of $15,000, and S&P is willing to refund, should there be a financing in the next 12 months, refund half of that cost back to the city for the cost of that. So essentially what you're doing is at the worst case, spending to have an updated rating that you could use and will be annually reviewed. Other bonds that we've had in the past, from time to time, update its rating and generally they improve because as you pay your debt down, your rating improves. And so this would be the case as well. I do think there will be, I would suspect, a AA plus. We can hope for a AAA minus. That'd be really nice. But all that goes to more favorable lending terms if you're looking at financing. So again, the recommendation would be to have S&P Global Ratings update its rating from 2015 with the understanding that should there be financing in the next 12 months, that half of that would be refunded back to the city should there pursue financing that requires that rating. And that, like I said, in the worst case, that it has an ongoing surveillance attached to it as well by S&P. And that there is a draft resolution. The funding for this we're recommending being out of the City Council's special purposes fund, which is intended for one-time projects, one-time funding associated with projects and things of that nature, which certainly this financing is intended for. Happy to answer questions or provide any further information.
Thank you very much for that report. Are there any questions on behalf of council members? Councilmember Tate?
I have no questions.
Councilmember Stowe?
No questions, but comments. And
Please.
I want to commend Mr. Wallace and his staff, Mr. Lawless. I said Wallace. Sorry.
Called worse.
You answered anything. Huh? It was just like, sorry, John. I want to commend John and his staff for getting the AA rate, because if you don't know anything about the S&P and cities, it's very hard to get that rating. I mean, very, very difficult. And if we can get a larger rating and AA, it would be great. And that's just a kudos to you and your staff for what you do and saving the money and finding the different things that we need to have. So.
And thank you. And I actually just want to make, it's actually the council, a lot of this is policies that have been adopted. You have a general fund reserve policy, you have an emergency catastrophic fund, you have other reserve funds that provide you opportunities to do projects. So all of that goes towards, what do they look at? Do we have some threats? Yes. In fact, at your next meeting, I'm going to be bringing a policy for you to consider adoption, which is a pension funding obligation or a pension funding policy, where you're setting funds aside into a reserve fund to offset unfunded liabilities in the future, either for pensions and or other post-employment benefits. That's probably the biggest threat. When I say threat, that's what's going to be probably most scrutinized is the city's what's called OPEB and its unfunded, and the members of the Internal City Audit Committee are well acquainted with what I'm referring to right now, because this is going to be coming before you, which is a recommended policy to actually improve that. So with the adoption of that policy, it may actually help with that. In addition to that, you'll hear at budget time, we'll be talking about options to help deal with any unfunded liabilities as it relates to specifically pensions, because that's the one that's got everybody in the lending market concerned. So, and I'm glad you mentioned it. Maria Bemis does a fantastic job and her staff of keeping all the you're going to, at your next meeting, you're going to have the city's auditor come into a presentation to talk about your ACFR, I think we call it now. An ACFR used to be called something different before.
Be CAFR.
It's not called that anymore. It's called the ACFR. And then your single audit, which both came through great, and I'll talk, the internal audit committees both reviewed both of those. And so the auditor is going to be coming in and making that presentation at your next meeting as well. So just really appreciate Maria Bemis and her staff and all the other departments that are responsible for making sure all the dollars are coming from the right place, as well as the oversight committees that we have, like TUTOC, which also reviews all the expenditures also.
But yeah, I really want to give Maria credit because she's she's a great protector of our money, and I can attest to that because when I was working for the city, one of my receipts was 15 cents short, and I had to pull the 15 cents out of my pocket. So she's not going to let you get away with anything. So, but thanks to you and your staff for providing this and giving us the opportunity to have such a good rating.
Okay. Vice Mayor, any comment or any?
No questions or comments.
I have no questions or comments. I just going to ask council how they wish to proceed at this moment.
I make a motion that we adopt the resolution authorizing and the expenditure of $15,000 for this.
You have a motion
I second.
and a second. No further discussion. Let's call for the vote. Passes unanimous, 4-0. Thank you. I'm going to go back to finish the reports of the AB 1234 reports. The Internal City Audit Committee, we met on April the 27th. In attendance in person were Mr. Lawless, Maria Bemis, and me. Members virtually were Vice Mayor Carrillo and Legal Counsel Julia Liu. Absent was Rob Taylor. He had notified the committee that he had another commitment and could not attend. The scheduled matters were the Transportation Development Act funds, the review of the audit conducted by Brown Armstrong of the Local Transportation Reserve Fund and Transit Enterprise Funds collectively, and the Transportation Development Act funds. TCAC, the audit was presented, the TCAC audit, this was presented without any issues. The TCTA Measure R funds, this will be reported at TCAC. This item was informational. The single audit report, the informational item was to receive and review the independent audit report of the City of Porterville finances prepared by Clifton Larson Allen. Auditor provided the report. Copy has been provided without corrections and looking to have it on the agenda for the second meeting in May. Review of the Barn Theater Agreement, the license agreement between the City of Porterville and the Barn Theater for the use of real property located at 42 South Plano. Committee members requested the outreach be made to the Barn Theater president to update, review, and discuss the agreement. No one attended. The outreach had been made, and we did not have anyone from the Barn Theater at the meeting, so that outreach will continue. The committee did review the agreement. It was brought to the attention there should be more clarity A review of the history will be made by staff with regard to the building and the land. That information will be brought back to the audit committee for review and direction, and will continue the outreach with someone from the Barn Theater to that regard. The next agreement to be reviewed will be the Comisión Honorífica Mexicana Americana. The next meeting is scheduled for May 25th, 2022 at 4 p.m. That concludes my report. I'm going to look at the vice mayor and legal counsel to see if there's anything I may have left out, because, no, that pretty much concludes the report then. Thank you. The Eagle Mountain Relocation Committee, Councilmember Tate.
I attended this meeting. It lasted approximately an hour, and there was a lot of territory covered within that time frame. Very well organized, but they were able to go through all the different projects and talk about where they are as far as being on track. Their proposed opening is this fall. And they're doing so well as far as having everything come together that they're, at this point, unless something happens, they may be finished with it ahead of their deadline that they'd set for themselves, which is good news. And I just basically serve as a liaison for the city and bring back information and reports, and then report to the public. This is the only meeting that I've been invited to since last month, so I check every Thursday to see if I need to go, and if it's only 5 minutes away from my house, so I have no problem. It's very interesting to watch the progress that's going on out there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am the other representative, and I did not attend because I was on virtually with the Cal Cities Policy Committee that started. It's a 3-hour meeting. I'm not going to report out from that committee. I'm carrying that over to summarize it for the next council meeting. Arbor Day. Mr. Moore and Mr. Knight, would you please come on so I can see you? Mr. Knight, where are you, Mr. Knight? There you are, okay. It was held at the Tule River Parkway on April the 29th. It was attended by several volunteers who planted and assisted with the adopted gardens. City yard maintenance staff was there. This day was focused on tree planting. Ms. Catherine Capone's dedication and commitment to the gardens at the Tule River Parkway does not go unnoticed. She has spent numerous and countless hours to this project. I have seen her put out her APBs for volunteers and help many times. She doesn't stop. She shared with me when I arrived that one day she asked for help, and 140 students from the California Cadets from 3 different schools showed up to help and adopt gardens, and continues to be grateful to the individuals that continue to volunteer. Parks and Leisure Services Director, Mr. Donnie Moore, provided the welcome and the Arbor Day program history. Ms. Capone provided the information and the grant description that the association received. I delivered the proclamation declaring the 29th as Arbor Day, and representative from Assemblyman Mathis delivered certificates to the adopted garden volunteers. It was a good day, but I want to comment, Mr. Knight, the staff from your department, they do a lot of work and is involved, and it was good to see them, and their work does not go unnoticed. I wanted to share that with you. And it was good to have them there because they do a lot of things out there, and the watering and the refuse and the things that are necessary to help and assist in that endeavor. Mr. Moore, I want to thank you because you're very passionate about this, and it was evident because you've done it every year. What can I say? And each time to be out there with the volunteers and everyone who was there, that work does not go unnoticed, especially from your department as well. It was a good day, and all I want to conclude with that, planting trees and nurturing nature. Thank you for that. Now, we'll go into oral communications. Is there anyone that would like to come forward on oral communications?
Frank Neely, address on record. Earlier in the packet, I gave you copies of the proposed changes to the Sierra View District Hospital maps. It also has the pertinent demographic data on the back of each. It has the proposed changes as well as the existing district lines. So if you want to take a review those. They will be having a public hearing on May 12th. The time has not yet been determined. So if you go to the Sierra View website, go to the Board of Directors tab, they'll have it on there hopefully by the end of the week, the time. But like I say, they will have a public hearing, and it will be available on Zoom also. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come forth under oral communications? Do we have anyone virtually that would like to come on?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. We will now go into other matters. Councilmember Tate?
Let's see. There is a comment regarding our place on the agenda that we review monthly for our virtual meetings and our opportunity to participate on Zoom. As you can see, we have a few staff members that do this, and we've used this for many times and many occasions. I personally have been able to attend a meeting virtually that I would not have been able to attend otherwise because I was not in town. And we all have different reasons why we can't be here, and this is a wonderful way to continue to participate if and when we can. So just to clarify that, since it was brought up. My friend who owns the jewelry store, he's been my friend for many, many years. I've done business with him. I've been a customer of his for a long time, and I get David. But the thing is that when we started this project, it was a pilot project. We weren't even sure if, because this vaccine, people just didn't have confidence in it. I felt a little bit strange about it myself whenever I got my vaccines, but because I'm older, I was first in line, and I thought, well, I might as well protect myself because otherwise I'm going to never be able to get my husband out of the house. So when we planned this, we just decided, since we had these funds and it was specific there was a specific reason that those funds were given to us and we had to be within those guidelines, that maybe if we provided incentive, and it was a pilot project. And I think we had maybe a handful of certificates, and we didn't know how many people would show up, and we had a good turnout. And I had been vaccinated and boosted by the time I got there because I knew most people that came wouldn't have, if I was going to get COVID, I'd likely get it because no one there had received their, and the kids were the bravest, actually. They were the ones that stepped up. So as it became successful and more people started attending and we started getting more questions, we started increasing those sponsorships because all the money went directly back into our community, and it was all local businesses. And at the time when we went through this 2 years of isolation, businesses were closed. Our local businesses were belly up, some of them. They were struggling. And so we didn't pick and choose which ones, but it was mostly eateries. And the grocery store ones that we had, those stores were, TNC's been here forever, so that was one of the grocery stores that we had. And those certificates were taken and we would run out. So we bought more of them, and those were ones that were always requested because people, they didn't really want anything but food. They wanted to feed their families. And we wound up being very successful with that program, and it was all based on math. And as because as you recall, our emergency beds that we had at PDC were occupied. We had an overflow because of the issues at Sierra View. They didn't have room for people. And so we have actually got to the point where I think today it was commented that we had, I think, maybe 2 beds at Sierra View. So obviously this program worked. Getting more people vaccinated was successful. And I feel really good about what we did. And the people that actually, as they started, as we had more opportunities and more offers and more, all that information came from, or recommendations came from the people that were in the community. And the businesses reached out, the ones that wanted to participate. And that's how the city staff decided that which ones, and that's all it was to it. It was that simple. And here we are, we're at this meeting, we're able to be with you publicly, we're not wearing masks, and we're pretty much in good health. Now, as far as this issue with the virtual meetings, there's always a chance that some of us might have exposures or have medical issues or have our own personal problems, and we all have a right to privacy, and that should be respected. So I would really appreciate it if we could use some decorum when we're talking about, because you can't assume anything. And you might be in this situation yourself one of these days. Let's see. As far as the shelter goes, that was up and going when I got here on the council. And I believe that they had a group of people, a group of volunteers and animal advocates, and that's how that whole thing was planned. And so we want to get this up and running, and appreciate your input, and maybe take it back to the council and consider those recommendations, see what we can do, if anything. So thank you. And you know, we all appreciate our freedom and our liberty, and more so today than ever, considering what's going on with the Supreme Court, with the women's right to privacy. So privacy is very important. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Stowe.
Thank you, Your Honor. First of all, I'd like to apologize, everyone, from the last meeting, the interruptions I had. That day, I had chemo treatment, and it made me nauseous that evening. And it's the first time it happened in a long time. And I'm sorry. I apologize for running in and out. I had to run to the restroom to evacuate what was making me nauseous. But anyway, and I do apologize because, I hate missing meetings, and I'm not sure if I missed very many, even after my heart transplant. I remember I had a heart transplant on Sunday, and that Tuesday I was still at the meeting as a mayor and conducting the meeting, and because I have a commitment to this community. I love this community, and I always will. But but I do want to apologize. That it wasn't pleasant and wasn't fair to most of you. So, but on the other hand, last week I was in UCLA getting my annual checkup for the heart transplant and cancer, and thank God all is well so far. Yeah, thank you. And the last thing is thank you and happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there in Porterville, and I appreciate you very much because I appreciate my mother, and she's still with me, and I call her as much as possible, even though I don't get to see her very much, but I do keep in contact, and we laugh and have fun, and I do miss her. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I have a few. So first of all, Councilmember Stowe, yeah, I just want to acknowledge you for being here in the times, you know, you don't feel good, but having you here in person, in your suit and all, always, I look up to that. And,
Nice to be here.
you know, I remember you from the times all of our family played ball, whether you were ump or coaching or just out there cheering. So being up here on the dais with you, I appreciate that. And, you know, I don't like to hear about you going through the health issues, but I really appreciate listening to you and the mayor with your experience up here. So thank you for being here, and even the times you don't feel well. The next thing I wanted to bring up was also the remote access, the continuing the State Assembly Bill 361 to continue the remote attendance. For me, thank you for bringing that up, but for me, I don't think it's necessarily these meetings always, and there probably is cases where definitely I would be grateful to be just involved, but when we first did the virtual meetings, I was brand new to council, and that's the only access I had, and I hated it, absolutely hated it, because you know, I couldn't see everybody, I couldn't interact the way I feel like I needed to, and then accessing the materials and the virtual dialogue was very difficult. So what I do see a benefit is we're on all these different committees. I can't even tell you how many right now I'm on, because I think I just volunteered for more. But I appreciate that we have that opportunity in case there is a travel somewhere within the county, and then those meetings get canceled, not by us, but other people. And then you have ourselves, I still work, and I have a family, and then we have staff traveling as well. So that really disrupts a day when we go to a meeting and then they get canceled. So for that purpose, I do appreciate the continued remote, because I think things were coming out, but I think things are still a little uncertain at times. So that's my feeling on that for now. On the animal control, I think some different good comments have been brought up and considerations. Just for me personally, working, being on council and coming into the library planning facility, I know that it's taken a lot of efforts, committee meetings, needs assessments, reports, and things like that that we've had to do, discuss, show, report back to council and the public. And so I'm assuming that a lot of that went on previously, because as I heard the comments earlier from the two that called in, and one stating back from 2015-16 that this was being discussed. So for my reference, staff, I was going to ask for maybe I could get an update on previous discussion. I don't know if there was public hearings or committee or commission was involved. I would like to get some updates for my own personal knowledge on that. So I can see what kind of planning and efforts and voice the community had as well. The next item I wanted to bring up was I wanted to thank the K-9 officers, Jace and Jasper, for their service to our community. I love animals, so seeing those guys up here, it was kind of emotional just hearing about how many years and hours of work that they have been through, and the kind of things that they've probably been faced with just as a dog, to be there and, you know, protect those officers, but in turn protect community lives. So I just wanted to thank them, and I know it's not probably easy to bring them in here with a crowd of people and a lot of noise, but thank you for doing that, because I think it's very impactful. Another thing I wanted to acknowledge was that I did a proclamation, or requested one to be done for something that's probably not that familiar with a lot of people, but it's called Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women's, but now it's Persons Awareness Day. That date is May 5th. And there's a lot of statistics that I was hoping to have prepared, but I had a wrench thrown in my schedule this week. But there's, you know, there's a large population of missing and murdered Indigenous people. And that California ranks about the 6th in the nation of high of missing people. And then a lot of Native American people and tribes. There's more in California than the rest of the United States. That's another statistic that's out there of why this is so important. I know we're a small town, but we're also located next to one of the largest reservations in the state of California. And so that doesn't just take place on reservations. It's not just a reservation issue. So just a little bit of information I wanted to share with the community of part of our population of Indigenous people and the nearby, the whole area, the county, and then the Central Valley, and then our state of California. So just bringing awareness to that on May 5th. And the way we do that is to wear red, and there's also some resolutions by state assembly members, Assemblymember Ramos, who's putting that into legislation. And then the last thing I wanted to announce was, and this has to do with Mother's Day, and part of the wrench that got thrown was my daughter went into labor yesterday, so I had to drive her to Bakersfield, her hospital's in Bakersfield, and then watch my grandson while my daughter gave birth to a new grandbaby girl. She's 7 pounds, 3 ounces, very healthy, and so she's getting released tonight. And so that was one of the things I was juggling, was I was watching my grandson for the last 2 days with pretty much 0 sleep. And he's only 15 months old, and he thought he was here with me for a party, so he hasn't slept. And luckily I got a friend to come and watch him so that I could be here for the council meeting. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
And thank you for the time you allowed me tonight. Yeah.
Oh, gosh, no other matters, just for sharing. I like in-person meetings. I always have, and I just want to state that. I also want to share with the AB 361, on the one committee, the Cal Policies Committee, that is statewide, they agreed to having it virtually this year, which helps because they're lengthy. And I got onto the committee by Mayor Mendoza, who is the chairperson from this group, and I committed to it for a year. So the 3-hour meetings, and they're always 3-hour meetings, and to have them virtually does help in that process. The Tulare County Homeless Task Force has been virtually, and it was announced at the last meeting that they will open it up for both virtual and in person. We have attended in person, and that's because we have taken questions to the table for the city. There is communication disconnect when it first started, and a lot of us were having to deal with the internet connectivity with one service provider or the other one and the slow, but I hear you on that because we're here, and I prefer the in-person council meetings. That's just my opinion. There have been a lot of things that are going on, and I know that the day that they had the Arbor Day, there was the housing fair across the street. I want to thank city staff for coordinating the event. There was a large agency resource participation, real estate agents, insurance agents, lenders, legal services. I was happy to see the department staff. This housing fair was large, and it was good to talk to each and every one that was there, and they were very grateful that the city had this event, and I hope that later on there was more participation by members of the community. I know that one of the schools has reached out, some of the students, and I have received communication on a project with regard to homelessness, littering, and bike lanes, and we appreciate and welcome that because these are students that are working on a project, and that their engagement, working with the principal, and every time there is something that comes up, it's nice to have that engagement. I want to thank Acting Chief Cogburn and the department for their participation and their support of sounding the alarm in Porterville. The installation of smoke alarms. This partnership was with the American Red Cross and the Tulare County Fire Department. 3 of us participated in the Cinco de Mayo parade. It was eventful. Some of us got to ride through the parade in cars. They were lowriders. And the car club that was invited was by Comisión for the participation. As I said, it was eventful. I knew to get in the vehicle and not touch anything because I looked and I said, well, what's that? And I said, so they can, please don't touch anything. So I left it alone. But I got to experience firsthand when the vehicle goes up and it goes down to the ground. And then for a moment there, I hung on to the back of that convertible because we were kind of tilted. But it was a good thing. I mean, I'm just sharing because it was good. It was fun. I did attend the Sunday event at the Veterans Park when it first started, and I walked around and I spoke to the agency resource vendors to thank them. There was food, it was family entertainment, and it was good. And I really have I will be very forthright, I have missed it. I have missed being at that event as well, and I look forward to many future ones as well for other entities. Where is Mr. Cogburn? Can you guys get on here? I like to see your guys' faces. Mr. Cogburn, I want to thank you. I know that there has been a lot of service calls in your department and your participation with other agencies and entities. It doesn't go unnoticed. And I know that it's the season and everything that you do, I am grateful to it, but that's all I have to say. Okay? And where did Chief Costello go? There he is, way in the back. Okay. You guys look like you're in timeout back there. But I want to say thank you for the efforts because I know that you've been involved, the department, you and your department have been involved in numerous activities that have been going on, and you're there for the safety and the protection of everyone because I have seen some of you and some of your department at different hours and at different times, and you're taking care of the things that need to be attended so it doesn't go unnoticed. Mr. Lawless, I want to say thank you to you and your staff for everything that is done. I know that in the busyness, as the committees unfold, there's more attendance, there's more things that have to be gathered, and I want to say thank you to everyone. So now I will turn it over to you. Okay.
In light of all the comments on the AB 361, I just wanted to update the council and let them know there are actually 2 bills pending in the state of California to to separate everybody's finding it easier to at least have the hybrid or the ability to do some video conferencing as an option. And so I expect that one of those bills will pass, maybe not necessarily in the form they're in currently, but we'll keep the council posted on what that looks like. So. And it'll have nothing to do with COVID. It'll just be an option because it is, the convenience factor is and the accessibility factor for the public.
Thank you. Please.
Yeah, 2 things. I spoke about the FTA audit or different audits, and I want to express my appreciation to Trish Whiteley, Michael Knight, Russell Isom, Rich Tree. There's a bunch of city and Rich Tree is former city employee, now TCRTA executive director. So the city audit's triennial audit, which every 3 years the FTA comes in and turns you upside down. And it's one of the most rigorous audits that you can, HUD probably is pretty tough too. But federal audit, and it's nice when you come away from an audit, and we're in a unique transition phase because it's looking at the last 3 years and they're recognizing that beginning July 1, it's not going to be the city's transit system anymore. It's going to be TCRTA. And their closing comment is, are we still going to get to work with your staff? That was the biggest, they'll be working with Rich at TCRTA, but to come back and say, your shop, your public works, and your finance people are top notch. And some of the best, areas. They consistently said agencies larger than you struggle with the reporting that it comes with DBE requirements and just all kinds of things. And so it's great to hear in a really rigorous audit setting that went over 3 days. So just kudos to Marie Bemis, Trish Whiteley, Russell Isom, and Michael Knight, and the job that folks do in running transit, what has been the last 3 years of city transit and will be handed over to the Tulare County Regional Transit Authority. And then secondly, saying thanks to staff. So last week was Administrative Professionals Day on Wednesday, and just gives a chance again to say thank you to Fernando and all the folks that are not here on screen, but are certainly in supporting the departments and the council. And just want to express my appreciation to such a great group of folks to work with. I'm blessed.
Thank you. Councilmember, you have.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have just one more thing. I would like for everyone, if they can, with me, pray for Mayor Mendoza of Woodlake. He had a sudden heart attack and has been hospitalized for the last 2 weeks, and he's just hanging on. So if you can just, say a prayer for him and his family. Hopefully he'll pull out of it, but it looks very dim from what I've heard today. So thank you.
Thank you for that, because, thank you. It's been very difficult for some of us who have worked so closely with him, and that's my comment to that. No further items. It is 8:32. Thank you very much for your participation. You ready for me to hit this? Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.